Sylvanas is actually returning soon. Her redemption arc continues. Yes. Are you not sick of Sylvanas yet? Do you need more Sylvanas storyline? Well, it looks like you might get it soon. Let's see how Sylvanas returns to our world.
So Sylvanas literally just returned in 10.1.7 first time after Shadowlands, and this is 100% an obvious setup for her actual return in the future.
Sylvanas
she talks about
redemption.
how she regrets her decisions, how she's proud of the Forsaken, and the most
She's proud of the
yikes
Forsaken.
part is she says she hopes to one day walk among the Forsaken again, which obviously means that this isn't just flavor text for Sylvanas loyalists, seeing how lackluster the Night Elven Heritage questline was in 10.1.7.
Yeah, people didn't like it that much. They expected more, I think.
Closer to giving Night Elves any peace. Personally,
To be fair, though, I mean, we're going to get a lot of Night Elf storyline, I'm sure, in 10.2. So, how much could Blizzard have given you in the storyline for the Heritage Armor quest? Not much. Because we're going to get the seed planting, Amir Drasil, all that shit. It's all going to happen. So, that's all Night Elfy, so don't feel too bad for him.
I just don't understand why exactly is Blizzard so keen on still pushing Sylvanas despite the absolutely terrible reception of her these past few expansions. Interestingly enough though, we're finally getting some hints of Nathanos and his whereabouts. So what is this new conversation, and is Blizzard really setting the ground?
This man's literally the ultimate simp. Nathanos, the simper. That should be his title in the game.
Really setting the ground to return
I didn't like
Sylvanas
Nathanos at all.
back to Azeroth. If you guys want to buy Total War, Elder Scrolls, or any other game, you can get them at great prices with my Gamigo link. You can also
It's
get
pretty
them
cool
with
that some people still have the
gift
Queen's
cards and software, and all below
Loyalist Tavern.
market prices. Best of all, if you add my code
like you can pick
Goron,
it to
you
wear.
can get an even bigger discount. So make sure to check out my link in the description and get some amazing deals with Gamigo.
Raid Shadow Legends.
So previously we had determined the return of Sylvanas, and looks like we were completely right. She did actually return in the newest patch, although as a message. However, what is really important to note is that this is 100% a setup for something that is going to come in the future.
She is going to come back for sure.
Really worrying, because not only did she get off lightly back at the end of Shadowlands, but Blizzard is so obviously setting this up for something to happen in the future, which is really just yikes. So to give some context to this, and all of this is a part of the Undead Heritage questline, and just as we had determined, the Undead are reclaiming Lordaeron for themselves. The Scarlet Crusade had returned with a new leader, trying to destroy the Forsaken, take over their territories, which I gotta say is a bit surprising, because I wasn't expecting them to be this powerful and numerous, seeing that we didn't learn anything of them these past years, and they
Scarlet
have been defeated
Crusade
like a
is
million
never
times.
truly gone.
Plus,
They're
I
great.
really feel like they missed a chance here to give Scarlet Crusade much more depth. I mean, something akin to peace with them would have been so much more interesting than them just being these one-dimensional lunatics that want to completely destroy
they are.
all undead.
They are
Alright,
some
guys,
crazy
as we finish up the Undead Heritage quest.
But there is still data mining happening about the Scarlet Monastery and returning in some way in retail. So maybe we're still going to get some good Scarlet Crusade storyline.
And if you're a loyalist character back in the day, you get a new quest where Sylvanas actually sends you a message from within the maw, which is a little bit ridiculous. Actually, quite a bit ridiculous when you really
how is she sending us
examine it in depth.
messages?
Despite that, however, she does give us some hints on what is going on and some characters returning. She talks to your character, calling you her most loyal ally, and says that she is now speaking from beyond the Veil of Death, meaning she's still certainly within the Maw. She says her work penance continues, and even though the Maw is an unlikely place to find peace, each soul she rescues helps her feel a little more whole. Now let's just stop real quick here. I mean, who really cares how she feels, whether Sylvanas is feeling whole? I really don't like that Blizzard is trivializing the crimes she had committed, like the dozens and dozens of crimes she had committed.
This is why Shadowlands was such bullshit. Like, everything that was done was like, now, oh, the Jailer made them do it. The Lich King. Arthas is an epic storyline and his corruption and downfall. Oh, the Jailer made him do it. Sylvanas burning the tree, losing her fucking mind, destroying half the world. Oh, the Jailer made her do it. You know, I mean, I blame the Jailer for everything, too, in my life. Anytime I make a mistake, my wife gets mad at me. I'm like, you don't understand. It's Zoval. Zoval made me do it.
Keep in mind,
I put on my boxers of corruption today.
Saving souls doesn't mean that she didn't kill them in the first place and that she didn't commit these terrible acts. If you may remember, she burned down the entire city full of civilians. She created a massive war across all of Azeroth that led to so many deaths across all the continents, much more than just the Night Elves. And most importantly, in this context, not only did she lead the Alliance to attack her people and her capital city, but she ended up blighting it herself and made it completely uninhabitable for the Forsaken, leaving them without a home
city
for at least a year. Even worse, I mean, she has obvious responsibility for anyone that was hurt by this blight in the reclaiming process as well, because obviously it wasn't easy to recover the city from what she had unleashed upon it. Sylvanas killed Sourfang, broke the whale which unleashed the scourge upon innocents, and to top it all off, she made a funnel to send all these souls into the maw. Now, she's talking about saving these souls, but that is not even the problem. The problem was killing them in the first place and everything else she did. But let's continue on the actual dialogue that we have. She says that she is pondering on her deeds. Since being raised into undeath, she has many regrets and wishes she could take it back. However, she is proud of one thing, and that is helping the Forsaken find their place in the world that shine.
There you go.
Now, while this may have made some sense like 10 years ago, keep in mind she abandoned those Forsaken.
Yeah, she kind of
left them without a home.
That's the thing. Like she made them. Remember at the gate and everything. She made it seem like they're just a bunch of fucking idiots. It's like she was using them this entire time, the Forsaken. So I mean, and now she feels bad. But again, the jailer made her do it, right? She was kind of corrupted. That's what it was. Yeah.
A year, used blight on her own people, raised Horde and Lance troops
Now she
in the
cares
battle
about
for Lordaeron. But interestingly enough, she says that her time to lead may be over. She was always stand against those who would call you monsters. Obviously, she's referring to the Scarlet Crusade, which realistically damaged the Forsaken a lot less than her in the grand scheme of things. I mean, the Scarlet Crusade are really not that bad when compared to Sylvanas. But apparently, if she's happy with the leadership of the Desolate Council and the fact that the Forsaken are still with the Horde, and then she says one of the most ridiculous lines, and that is that the Forsaken should know that they were more than just arrows in her quiver. First of all, this isn't even true at all. I mean, they were worse than just arrows in her quiver. I'm not even talking about the toy soldier thing she said back in that cinematic. Is Blizzard literally forgetting that she left the Forsaken without the capital? Her people became refugees because of her actions. A lot of the Forsaken territory is still destroyed up to this day. Just imagine like if someone destroyed your house you couldn't return for years and then comes back and says like, remember, you mean quite a lot to me. However, next is the most ridiculous line where she says that the Forsaken are like her family and that one day she hopes that she will be able to walk among them once again. This, to me, it became obvious that this wasn't just...
it just hurts, man. It hurts because they're you know, the best thing they could ever do is like retcon Shadowlands lore, but they can't. So they have to work with it, and this is the only way they can. Is like just try to redeem all the characters they fucked up during that whole expansion. What's up, Elena? It's really tough. I don't see like how she gets redeemed, but she's obviously going to. She's gonna come back. She's gonna be with the Horde. I don't think they'll put her on the Desolate Council because that would be too much. Like she had her days as leader, and that's enough. She's gonna kind of pull a Thrall and say she doesn't want to lead, you know. But otherwise, her character really got fucked up over the course of Shadowlands.
Flavor of text and some closure for
She's
the
just not the same Sylvanas that she was back in the day.
Setting her up to return in the next expansion or the expansion after
this
that. It's very
cinematic.
obvious because they could have done this entire quest line without the Sylvanas part or without her saying she hopes to walk among them once again. Personally, I really just have no idea why. Why not just leave her alone? I mean, let's all just accept that the entire storyline of Shadowlands was at least a mess. It obviously wasn't good. Let's just ignore her, and that is really the best we can do in this entire scenario. The damage has been done, but I feel like we should just leave her on this endless mission. Let's not give her a speed boost to her endless quest and so that she can come back and walk among her people. Personally, I always saw that sentence as like a mythological thing, sort of like pushing the stone up a hill, but never actually being able to do it. I never actually saw her being able to accomplish that goal in like 5 to 10 years. Now, don't get me wrong, I mean, Sylvanas as a character isn't exactly all that bad, or wasn't bad prior to BFA when they have drastically altered her. Originally, Sylvanas was a pretty good tragic character. She was one of the best characters,
great.
A high elf that fell defending her kingdom. Then she was stuck in a terrible scenario where she was enemy to everyone, but she was also super morally great herself. But Blizzard decided to just nuke her.
She was clearly like before Shadowlands and BFA, she was very much, you know, like a, you know, she's kind of fucked up, but you know she cares about the Scourge or the undead, and she's trying to do what's best for them and lead them. Even you guys remember with Garrosh and everything when he called her a bitch. She was talking about her people's future and how she was worried about the fact that they can't reproduce. Basically, they shoot blanks. And she was trying to figure out how to keep her population alive by, like, raising more undead. And that's when Garrosh said she was a bitch and how she's no different than the Lich King. But she was just trying to do the right thing by her people. And then all of a sudden, like, Shadowlands comes along and she's shitting all over her people. And BFA talking about how there are a bunch of arrows in her quiver and a bunch of dumb fucks that she's only been using this entire time. So it was such a 180. And now she has to do another 180, a full 360. She's coming back to the
Into
beginning, I
Oblivion a
guess.
few expansions back. Then
It's
they
a
made
tough
that
story
entire
arc to
flimsy
follow.
justification about the split soul thing, and now everything is suddenly okay. I'm not sure how Blizzard pulls this exactly, but I can guarantee that the reception to that finale wasn't good. At most, people saw it as completely neutral, as in she's actually getting punished in some way, not
These
just
two
being
just gotta
redeemed.
make out.
But now,
Just needs to
even
happen.
that seems to be off the table. Personally, I find it really strange that Blizzard is just so hypersensitive about quest texts and very minor plot points from the past, yet they keep pushing and trying to redeem a character that burns down entire cities, raises her own allies into undeath against their will.
Probably one of the biggest
she does
genocides
seek
in
the
Warcraft
souls from
history.
Oblivion, so all of that is of course okay, you're not arrows in my quiver. However, rant aside, she does say that there are many more souls to be freed, and among them is one that is most dear to her. This is 100% obviously referring to Thanos, who has been missing pretty much since the start of Shadowlands, and we learn that she still hasn't found him, and the only good thing from this entire plot point would be learning what actually happened to this guy, why was he in that cinematic, and then he was just completely gone after that without a single clue. Then to finish it off, Sylvanas speaks the High Elven language, says farewell my friend, referring to the loyalist player. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying that Sylvanas is a terrible character. She wasn't obviously the jailer, like she wasn't undeveloped, but she was a good character that turned into the jailer ultimately, and honestly, after all this writing, I really feel like there is no way to write her out of the hole, and ideally, she should just be left alone, and we should really just focus on other storylines. Let's just keep Sylvanas in the background. Thank you for watching. Check out Blizzard's official response on a pirate expansion happening by clicking on the screen, and check out my second channel for real world history and mythology. See you next time.
Yeah. Yeah, not bad, not bad. I mean, look, the Sylvanas storyline's completely fucked. That thing is torn up 100 different ways and makes no sense whatsoever anymore. And yeah, it's just look, it's going to take, I think, a couple expansions to recover from the Shadowlands storyline and what it did to so many characters and how it fucked up their life. Because what it left us with was essentially a Lich King who went from being the greatest story ever told in the Warcraft universe to now just being a mind-controlled bitch. It took Sylvanas, who was probably one of the cooler Horde characters in terms of her ability to kind of walk that line between fucked up but also genuinely caring about her people, which was something cool about her. And then it took Anduin, who was the son of one of the, Logarsh, one of the biggest badass humans in the game. Fucking guy was a gladiator for years in orc arenas, and it turned his son into a crybaby. A crybaby. So it did mess up a couple tunes. They gotta fix them, but it's gonna take a long time. We're gonna have to essentially forget about Shadowlands. Yeah, maybe the Bronze Dragonflights that I was saying can go back in time and fix that for us. But for now, this is what we're left with.